Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cylon Johns and Jills. I'm John St. Baptiste, joined here by a few members of our panel of first-time watchers, Mackenzie L. Burns, Bobby Catalano, and I believe Clarissa Thompson is going to be joining us a wee bit later. Johnny just got his sex change surgery taken care of, so he's healing up down there. And Amy has something going on. I'm not sure what, but won't be able to make it tonight. But the four of us will be here this evening to talk about this very awesome episode. So, without any further ado, ladies, introduce yourselves.
I'll go first while Bobby plays with talks to the people in the chat. Hi, everybody. I am Mackenzie, also known as Sasa by Johnny and multiple people in the chat. And I'm here to talk about this crazy episode with these two. I know, Bobby, you must have been heartbroken that Gally died. But other than that, it's
no, I didn't like that.
It's going to be a good episode to talk about. And yes, Season 4, Episode 3, The Ties That Bind. I wonder what that means. Who knows? We'll maybe find that out soon.
Well, are you familiar with where the phrase comes from in the first place?
Probably not.
The ties that bind.
Emotional ties?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember who originally said it. I want to say it was Shakespeare. But it's talking about familial loyalty being even more important than what you think is right or wrong. It's still familial loyalty. Hey, we've got Rezo out here. By the way, Bobby.
That's Reese.
You haven't introduced yourself.
Hi, I'm Bobby.
And since you know how to pronounce Reese's name properly, why don't you say hi to everybody else in the chat?
Okay. Hey, Johnny. Hey, Reese. I even know what that means in his language. I forgot what that was. Hey, the hobbyist. Reese doesn't like when people say his name wrong.
No. It's
Is
not
that all
good.
we got? That all we got?
I think so, but we may have more people pop in.
The episode club, which is Mackenzie.
That's me.
House of the Conqueror, which is Johnny. No, Bobby
Reese,
Boucher.
I'm sorry for saying your name wrong.
Bobby Boucher.
Johnny is the devil.
I'm Bobby Boucher. Yeah, we've got some good people in the chat. And it's our first stream of 2020, so round of clap for that one.
New Year.
Yes.
The year also that we finished
Recharge.
Battlestar Galactica. Blah, 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 blah. But
This
John,
is actually going to be the year the world ends, so it works out pretty well.
So, what do we want to start talking about first?
Okay, this episode has so many major storylines, which is part of what I love.
Do you want to talk about Starbuck first, since that's like a shorter storyline?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good place to start.
I'm not loving.
Do you think Starbucks crazy?
No.
Probably, but everybody else is kind of crazy, so it's like
I don't think she's crazy.
Because everybody on that ship thinks she's crazy.
Well, she does stupid stuff.
Yeah, and
which usually works out.
No, but I'm talking about the current mission. Everybody on that ship, because she keeps making these jumps, and she's like, painting on the ceiling of her bedroom, and
maybe she's trying to get that feeling back.
Like, do you think she's crazy, or do you think there's actually some method to that alleged madness?
There probably is, but right now it's just seeming like she is crazy.
Maybe she's just crazy.
Could be. The hobbyist thinks that Starbuck is crazy. Yeah, I think that it can be seen as like crazy or psychotic, but it actually probably means something. Like she just doesn't know how to, I guess, express herself in that sort of way. But I also feel kind of bad for all the rest of the crew that we got on that ship. They're like, why do we keep like jumping in circles?
I
Effectively,
wouldn't say psychotic. I'd say schizophrenic, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't describe her behavior as psychotic, though.
Well, making people jump back and forth and getting kind of angry. But yeah, the whole crew was like kind of like pissed off that they keep having to go back and forth and jumping all around.
Yeah, but maybe that's how she judges if they're getting close. Because remember, she had that little mental connection with they jump in and she was getting further away and she was going nuts.
Yeah.
It's a very good pickup because, you know, for her, it I think the last two episodes set up that feeling that she feels where Earth is.
Yeah, she feels it.
So she's just, I mean, she's trying to figure it out. And to her, this makes sense. Now, maybe she actually is fracking crazy. But to her, this makes sense because to her, she feels where it is and where it isn't. And that's why she's jumping all over the place. I like that the relationship between her and Sam really got properly defined, like what it's been for the past season.
Yeah.
Really just got probably like no gussy, no pretty words, no anything. I just want to frack. I just want to frack. I just want to frack right now. Just do it. Let's just do it. Like none of the, you know. I think she even said, we used to be married."
Yeah, like
She literally says those words.
Yeah. She's got a mean streak and a half.
Problem. Yeah, I think her whole trying to define what her relationship with Sam is quite difficult, or was for a while, because she didn't know how to like breach the subject of it, because it's a complicated relationship. But she is acting kind of crazy, and he did kind of like what and some people say calm her down almost. But she did say like, why does this feel different? Like afterwards, like she went on this like slight not monologue, but it was like something about this being different and this time being different, and something has changed or something like that. So it's like makes you wonder. It's like if she can recognize it, or they're like different for the two of them or something like that.
Now, I forget your answers from the last episode. Do either of you think that Kara Thrace is the final Cylon?
No.
I did not say her. I don't.
It was, okay. I think it might have been Clarissa. I'm not sure.
I think it was Clarissa who said that.
I have the note somewhere, but yeah,
I don't even know who I picked. The president, maybe, because I just didn't have a guess.
I think I have it down somewhere. But yeah, I think there's. Yeah, I think she's. Yeah, I think there's something to that, her saying that there's like something has changed, because I feel like, although she did say before that if she found out that Sam was a Cylon, she'd put a bullet in his head, maybe this whole thing maybe has changed, and she probably will like feel different about it. I don't know. Which is a possibility, because I feel like she's going to abdicate for that. Last week
might be some serious foreshadowing.
Yeah, no one guessed Starbuck last week. Clarissa guessed Callie last week, and Bobby, you guessed Adama.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was close.
You know who I guessed?
Well, you could. Well, you thought Doc Coddle, Rosalind, all of these like other high tier characters
That was my
were
that
the
was my
Cylon.
original thought. Like when it got to the end, like right before that last episode of season 3, when there's the reveal and you find out 4 of the final 5. Like I thought, like to me logically from a storytelling point of view, it made sense. It would be like Adama, Rosalind, Coddle, Ty, and Zarek. Like that's just what made sense to me. Like would be the people in power who and they've done really well at not making that happen. The personal drama in this episode between Tyrell and Callie comes across so realistic.
Yeah.
Like having been in an unhappy relationship, having been in a relationship with a very small child, and having been in a very unhappy relationship with a very small child, it comes across as quite realistic. One of the things I have to drop like massive props on is the makeup in this episode. Like Callie looks exhausted in every scene you see her. She looks exhausted.
She's probably not wearing any makeup.
No, she's got like junky luggage down here. You definitely know. Tyrell looks worn out. Ty looks absolutely worn out. I mean, everybody looks like what they did with the makeup in this episode. I think is pretty good because it's a subtle thing, but I think it's done well.
Yeah, they've got certain things that they've done, and the one thing before we jump over to the other kind of sequences in this episode is when Starbuck goes, "You and me got this tattoo," like the tattoo that bonds them together. It's like that's such a interesting thing that they like talk about. What, you want to be Starbuck's boyfriend, John?
I am Starbuck. I'm not Starbuck's boyfriend. I have Starbucks tattoo, not stems.
But yeah, like the fact that
I loved that this episode finally had the payoff on the tattoos.
Explain. Yeah, explain.
Unless you've gotten to the detailed, behind the scenes shit, you've been wondering for the past season and a half what the fuck these tattoos are about. And this episode,
what tattoos?
Starbucks tattoos with an A of the same tattoo.
Starbuck and Sam, they're
matching tattoos or whatever.
Well, they make
matching?
one. They make one symbol. It's a symbol for
they do?
Africa. And by the way,
I don't really watch the show. I think.
Speaking of things, welcome Clarissa Thompson.
Hi, hope everybody had a great holiday.
It's Clarissa.
You were hunting Bigfoot today, right? That's why you were late?
Oh, that sounds like an adventure.
Yeah, but it actually moved south, and now I have to send Bobby on a mission to go find it because now he's the Swamp Thing. So you're gonna have to take a trip out to the bayou.
Give me a minute. I'll be right there.
Right? Hey, he was actually a brilliant scientist who just, it was an experiment that went awry.
First, Clarissa has to fight off bears. Now she has to find Bigfoot. What? The life in Western Canada is quite fun.
I know, right?
But yeah, we were just kind of talking about the whole Starbucks situation and why they're on the ship that they are, and if Starbuck is actually crazy, or if there's a method to her madness, quote unquote.
Okay, can I start with a rant? Can I start with a rant, you guys?
Yes.
What the hell kind of group of insubordinate dorks did Hilo choose for his selected team? I was just like, way to pick him, Hilo. Way to pick him. You got a bunch of insubordinate mouthpieces. Nicely done. Ugh.
And then he gets yelled at by Starbuck.
Well, I mean, that's to be expected from her. And technically, he's the commander on this mission.
What is she?
She's just the guide, you know?
Well, yeah, I think it would say Hilo is a very good commander. He's an absolutely poor quartermaster.
Well, but that's kind of the thing, right? Like, it's
He's a
funny
good friend,
because I did
though.
my, yeah, I did my rewatch with my sister. My sister's seen the whole series, right? And we were comparing the behavior of the crew members of the Demetrius with crew members on other science fiction series. And we both kind of came to the opinion, like, these people are supposed to be military trained. Like, to sit around and talk smack right in front of your commanding officer, right there. And for Hilo to tolerate it, I don't know, it makes it a little...
But also, you got
I
to
mean,
think they're
it's
very...
TV drama, though, right? You can't
Right.
have a drama if everybody's doing what they're told.
And also, the one, like, reality card I would pull out is that they're military trained, but they're basically non-commissioned officers, military trained under ridiculously stressful circumstances.
No, and I agree with that. But at the same time, like, when you're in the military, there's a certain amount of, like, routine and things that you just automatically do. And it would be strange for them to fall out of that habit, considering that they have maintained a military structure within the military. So,
I agree entirely. Felix is done. Felix Gata, like, you want to punch him by the end of this episode.
Gata's looking rough.
The second he opened his mouth this episode, I wanted to slap him in the face. I was just like, dude, I used to think you were kind of cool, but no.
Johnny put in the chat, Hilo isn't known for his intellect. I mean, it always takes him a while to figure shit out, like Boomer, for example.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like he didn't have time to think about who to take on the mission.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know. How long did they keep Starbuck in that cell?
For a couple of weeks, I think. Or a couple of days.
But no, the major question is, do you think she really knows what she's doing, or do you think the problems that her crew has are valid? Like, do you think she is losing her shit?
I think that she's tired of being frustrated, and the fact that all she has to go on is intuition, and she knows that all she has to go on is intuition. Like, she knows that she's coming across as crazy. She's like, I need to prove that I'm not crazy to a bunch of people that think I'm crazy, and I'm going crazy trying to prove I'm not crazy. So
good answer.
I think that's where she's at right now. She's like, yeah. Even her whole speech, which I'm sure we'll get into when we're more in that part. I don't know where you guys are in the episode, but when she's talking to Anders later about feeling like everything's in a dream.
No, that's interesting. We're going through the whole Starbuck.
Okay. Arc.
Yeah, because it's a rather short.
There's so many major arcs in this episode that you have to break it up that way.
It's true.
You can't just take it scene by scene.
Well, definitely, like, I thought that was apparent when she was talking about how it doesn't feel like everything's in a dream. Because she's trying to go on a feeling for everything, right?
Yeah.
More than a feeling. I just sang that wrong so that we didn't get copyright.
Down.
Right? But I was just like, as I started, I was like, no, don't do it. You'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have it in my notes.
About the dream.
They talk about marriage and the issues that she's having, like, and all of her personal issues. And then afterwards they reflect that Starbuck starts reflecting on how all the choices and everything that's going on in her life feels like a dream, thinking about when they were married and when they, everything that's happened up to that point before she left. So, is that going to be some sort of a clue for us as to what the overall end game is? My sister was just like shaking as she was watching me talk about this to her and taking my notes, because she's like, I'm not spoiling it. She's like, you guys are on a mission. So,
We're on a mission.
What's gonna happen afterwards?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she knows what happens, right? And she was just like, I can't tell you. And then I start talking the final 5 Cylons and how we don't know the last one. She's like, I'm not telling you who it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I think, that they've got that, like, this is a dream kind of thing, like, being, like, put in front of your face. Also, the whole fact of, like, she told Anders that marrying him was easy. It wasn't something that was, like, a hard decision, which makes you think, like, makes him seem like he's a little bit just like, ooh, like...
Yeah, but do you think she said that because she meant it or because she was just trying to be mean?
Well, she married him after, like, probably knowing him for a couple days, technically. Because,
well,
in the grand scheme of things, like, we didn't obviously see much interaction with him, minus the things, like, the time together on Caprica when he showed up. And, like,
they had, like, 5 days of fighting frack, and then she went back to the fleet for, like, 6 months, and then she went and rescued his ass. So, I think she really did care about him.
Yeah.
I have to say, I know none of you are, like, huge cinema nerds like I am, but I personally, I think one of the best shot scenes in this entire show is the one when she's sitting next to Anders in the bed after they have sex.
In the bunk, in the little...
Yeah, they're like both
hideout.
sitting there in the rack, and there's no, like, bodily exposure, but you can tell what just happened. And they're both just, like, so withdrawn. Like, it for me, like as a cinemaphile, like, that's a very well done scene. I think expresses so many things that are going on between those two characters and in the story in general.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Yeah. Plus, you also got to make it modest. This is not HBO where they can keep...
Right.
Yeah, this was network television at the time.
I like the fact that it's not HBO.
Yeah.
I don't need to see boobs. I need a good fucking story.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes it adds to storytelling, but lots of times just, tell a good story and you don't need all that stuff.
That's why I was so happy to find out that HBO did not get the rights to The Lord of the Rings.
Imagine.
Elves don't have boobs, okay?
Well, they're trying to make Gandalf a
don't.
woman now. So. There's that whole thing about if Gandalf is going to be a woman now or whatever. So,
what?
Yeah, like there was this whole thing online where they were like trying to make Gandalf like a woman. Oh, I can't remember the exact things about it, but something like that.
Just a bunch of belly aching incels bring that up or something.
Something like that. Johnny.
I'm not going to get into this conversation because I would probably offend a lot of people.
But yeah, there's a few, I think.
By the way, I'm in the middle of my 24th rereading of The Lord of the Rings right now.
Some classics, just leave them alone,
Yeah. I think with the
so I'm a little attached to the literature.
Going back to what we're talking about, which is the seed. I think though that it's like the whole thing about this being a dream relates to like what, not necessarily like their past life, but the life that once was before everything went to shit. Almost like they were happy as you can, on New Caprica, and then now so much stuff has changed since they've gotten off New Caprica. Like,
Well, Starbucks was never happy on New Caprica. I mean,
well,
outside of like.
well, I was just saying in the I was saying like for the context that it has been almost. So it's like it's like almost like what you could be. But yeah, there's like but yeah, then there's the whole thing about how Anders has revealed to himself that he's a Cylon, and Starbuck is back, like indifferent, not necessarily normal. So it's like that probably was a whole like dream thing of like, was this actually real, like kind of thing. But it was real. But like their intimate moment together is like maybe something that they didn't think of before.
It's like anything but intimate, and that's what I was talking about. What I love about the scene afterwards, because the way it's shot, it's like you have two naked people sitting next to each other, and they looked so terribly uncomfortable. And I think the actors just pulled that off really well. Like but yeah, getting back to Starbucks' mission. Hey, we're gonna find Earth, right?
Eventually.
Well, I mean, she's painting, and art is like a window. It can be a guide, right? She's done a bunch of art up to this point.
And do you think that maybe she might have a better idea of where it is than President Junkie does?
Oh, Rosalind.
It's not her fault she's a junkie. She's got cancer. You're allowed to be a junkie when you have cancer. Especially.
So the Cylon blood
That's
failed.
the quote of the year.
It just started.
I was trying to make a terribly tasteless segue there.
When you're dying from cancer, I think you're allowed to be a little bit of a junkie.
Yeah, but I mean.
But on the same note, should you be ruling a society?
Well, she just wants to save everyone.
If you're taking something that influences your mental processes that much, should you be in charge of society? Like, I mean, everyone who attends this channel knows that I probably drink way more than I ought to. Would you ever vote for me for fucking president? I mean, seriously? A, I'd never run. B, that'd be like the worst decision you ever made in your life.
So,
but what if you were like the only option? That's the thing.
I can think of people in power doing a worse job than you would do.
Come on, look how much fun we'd have if you were.
Johnny votes you as president of the vampires. He's like president of the vampires, maybe. Maybe.
7 corpses ago.
We don't have presidents. We have a very selective feudal system. I'm a bourgeois, and I'm totally happy with that.
I think with the president, there's not that many there's not too many options of characters that we care about to be president, like this late in the game. Like besides Baltar tried that, and we all know how that ended. So unless like Leah Dama decides, like, let me just run for president, like, would we actually care if whoever became president? Because we have to care about that.
Thing. You might have something there. Although we're talking about, like the government storyline, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we can continue this way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Rosalind, does it, John?
No. It not just Rosalind, Leah Dama figures into this quite a bit.
Does he ever? And Mackenzie, I think you're really on to something there.
Yeah.
Oh, Clarissa, you weren't here when I asked the question.
The question. Dun,
Earlier.
dun.
Do you think that Zarek gave Adama that file to undermine Rosalind, or because he thought it was the right thing to do?
Honestly,
Or yes.
I think that he gave it to Lee because it's something that he would bring up if he were in Lee's position. But he's not in Lee's position. He's vice president, and he can't appear to be on any side but Rosalind's or have any issue with anything she does. He has to maintain that solidarity. So he handed it off to Lee. And you know, it takes it back to the old talk about Zarek, about like one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist, right? Like it could come across that he's the villain here, but I don't know about you guys, but I think, you know, he brought it up because it bothered him. And I mean, I don't think that makes him necessarily a bad guy. He's just like, this bothers me. Like, look at this. You're telling me, I'm not saying it's not a power grab on his part.
Are you
He's
talking
gonna
about
want
Tom
an edge.
Selleck?
Yeah.
See, I don't think he's the terrorist that John's making him out to be.
I'm not making him out to be either. I'm asking your opinion if you think he's a terrorist or if you think he's a freedom
You
fighter.
yelled at me earlier, didn't
I'm
you,
asking-
Mackenzie? He yelled
asking-
he's a terrorist.
Did he yell at you?
He yelled
John.
at me.
Yeah.
Stop yelling at Bobby.
No, I said in certain cultures, to certain people,
Teasing.
he would be a terrorist.
Oh
Just
yeah,
like
well that's
Bob and
and, like-
Sands would be considered a terrorist to some people, and would
Oh,
be
I got a
considered
lesson in
freedom
that.
fighter to others.
yeah, like, and that's the question that's always been brought up since the Zarek character came into the show, right? Is, you know, there's always those two groups. They see him two different ways, and that could be the case for any politician. But yes, I think that this whole idea bothered him. I think that neither he nor Lee. I think that neither Tom Zarek or Lee are aware of what she was planning on doing with this. That there may be some factor that we're not being let in on, but it questions her transparency as a leader.
I think they're both considering just the worst way it could be taken out, which you consider this. I mean, the judicial power is completely run by the executive branch now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The executive power can make decisions about major and minor court decisions,
Melty.
and that's what it all comes down to.
And
I mean, I mean, I don't want to say Mussolini, but Mussolini.
Yeah, she's
that?
got. It's great with clam sauce. Sorry, I'm gonna make John spit out his drink.
Yeah.
Mussolini was a fascist dictator in Italy during World War II.
Rings a bell.
John's dying
Are
over
you
there.
okay, John? I gotta stop telling jokes, you guys.
At least when John's taking a drink.
I would like to credit my friend Virginia Gracia with that particular joke. So, Virginia, if you're out there in the internet watching, I used your joke.
John's dying of laughter over here.
I'm sorry. Put that one in your pocket, John. It's a good one.
Dude, the 2 years of poli-sci that I took in college, like that joke made it worth it.
Oh, good. So,
John's dead.
anyway, as I was saying, Rosalind had an excuse right out the gate. Like she was just like, and she came up with an explanation for her little executive order that nobody had heard about till this moment. And I was going to bring it up at the next meeting, and it's just like, really? Were you gonna? Because it's an executive order. So you weren't planning on discussing it with your council. You were just going to do it because you're the executive, and it would have been an executive order. So, yeah, he brought it to the table. And if it causes her trouble, then maybe she should consider what she's doing it for. But again, there could be circumstances that she and Adama are aware of that everybody else isn't, and they can't let anybody know because of military sensitivity, blah, 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 blah.
Now, do you think Lee Adama has a personal problem with Laura Roslin, or do you think he is just there as a voice to call her out on her bullshit?
I think he
She
likes
has been
her
taken.
in general.
She's been taking up his daddy
one
time.
time. Bobby first.
Yeah.
Well, I said I think he
Sorry.
likes her in general. But you got to call bullshit when you see it, and she's full of it.
Okay.
Oh, I got
Candy?
an attitude, don't I? Where did that come from? Oh, I know.
I always call people out on the bullshit. Even myself.
Wait, I have a question for Reese. I want to know why his house smells like gasoline.
Huh?
Unless I read that wrong.
I like, what?
He says he likes the smell of gasoline in his house.
Vodka.
I don't know what's going on in the chat. I'm trying to figure it
I
out.
don't know. Vodka and turtles or something.
Johnny likes turtles.
It's like that meme with the little kids.
Dude.
I like turtles.
Does he like turtles the candy, or does he like actual turtles? And
When
if you like actual turtles, did you see my video with the turtle bobbing his head up and down?
I
It was
did.
kind of cute.
I have had situations where I liked gasoline in somebody's house, but it was never my own. And we're going to go ahead and shut up after that. So, Bobby, back to the question.
Did I answer the wrong one?
No.
Okay. I'm not trustworthy right now. Oh, okay.
Bobby. Yeah, I think well, Bobby tries to figure out what's going on. Clarissa, what do you think?
Yes. Just about whether Lee likes
Adama.
Roslyn?
Yeah.
Do you think Lee's hit a point of confrontation with Rosalind that he's like, fuck you? Or do you think he's still trying to do the best for her, but he's trying to do what he thinks is right?
That is exactly it. You know he's a good guy.
Right?
And he likes her. He usually sides with her. But she's being a dictator. And a bitch.
No, you think about it. I mean, if you think about it from a realistic perspective, we're not watching a fictional television show. We are like sitting here talking in the real fucking world. How disturbing is that law?
Very.
Oh, totally.
There's nothing good about it.
Absolutely.
Like,
Dictatorship is bad.
the government makes the only judiciary, and the judiciary is made up by members who were selected by the government. How, like,
By the executive of the government.
people wonder why I have a house full of guns and canned goods.
Guns. So you can shoot it open when you get hungry.
You
No,
know,
because
they could have been
what's
having
going
a
to happen
boat
because of
sale.
people who think like that?
The canned goods could simply be because of a bulk sale on like Chef Boyardee or something. So that's, but yeah. It never hurts to be prepared. But, okay, but we're getting to this whole like, they just went through this whole judicial thing and it didn't go Rosalind's way. So miraculously, at the next, quorum meeting, I'm assuming there hasn't been a quorum meeting since the trial until now.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, she wants all of these executive powers over the judiciary system when things didn't go the way that she wanted them to. Like, I can definitely see why Lee would have a problem with this, but it doesn't mean he doesn't like her. I mean, he might still like her, but at the same time, we've all had that friend where you're like, you know what? You can't be doing this to people. And then, like, when you call them out on it and they have to try and make excuses in front of people, you're like, dude, told you I was going to call you out. Like, you put me in the place.
Starbuck.
On the same note, she does say that she thinks that he would be the best representative for Caprica.
Of course she said that.
But it doesn't come across as fake. The way she says it. Even when she says, like, he contested me on Baltar's trial, like, it comes across, at least to me, it came across as like, she's like, hey, he had a point. He won. And I think that his, kind of like what Zarek said to him, like, I think what you did, I don't think what you did was right, but I think what you did was noble.
And
like,
when he was talking about
more than anybody.
I think he was right to give that file to Lee. I think that he showed good judgment with that. And I think that Lee ran with it knowing he knew that Zarek couldn't run with it. And he knew that it could be an issue. But from the very way that Rosalind dismissed his concerns as, a junior representative, she was like talking to him like he was from like some children's political party league that was like doing an internship, and it was like, no, he's a representative, and you're talking down to him. Like, when she said that she was glad that he was representing Caprica, she's underestimating his efficacy, and I think that is a mistake on her part.
Agreed.
Because I think that he's going.
Such a large chunk of the fleet is Caprican.
Well, and he was a military commander. Like, he can hold his own. He's not some baby.
Are you going to hold Jimmy Carter up against Dwight Eisenhower?
Why don't you name some Canadian prime ministers and some opposition leaders and stuff? Like, put him up against Jack Layton? Yeah.
Okay, actually, the people who rule you, are you going to hold Justin Trudeau up against Winston fucking Churchill?
Can we talk about tribbles?
That's the trouble with them,
Trouble with tribbles, yes.
That's right. I mean, they're both leaders, but Winston Churchill was like prime minister forever and through a Second World War. So it's like checkers with grandpa versus a chess game in the Olympics or something.
Chess Olympics.
Chess is an Olympic sport. Or it was. But anyway.
Yeah. I think when it comes to Lee Adama and Rosalind's relationship, that I think it's like because he's seen what she can do. That I think he just wants to bring justice because that's what he's been trying to do. That's what he did with Baltar. That's what he wants to do for other people. And he's, I guess, preemptively trying to see what's behind the curtain, like the veil that is the curtain almost of politics. And he's like trying to see behind it. And, you know, they got to bring Zarek back in at some point. So why not with Apollo? Because they did used to be buddies at one brief moment when Lee was on Rosalind's side, like back in what, season 1, when he like escaped her and brought her to like the Astral Queen or whatever that was, where
I
Zarek
think
was.
he's still on Rosalind's side. I think he's just trying to remind Rosalind of what her side is.
Yeah, 'cause she ain't acting right.
Do either of you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think like she's trying to do what's best for the fleet, and whether that means making the situation uncomfortable for him and Rosalind, or
Johnny's going to bed.
or not. Bye, Johnny. Feel better. Hope you get some rest, my friend. You deserve it.
Yeah, Johnny, get some sleep. I'll come cuddle you if you want.
You're busy. You never mind.
Yeah, and John, I don't know if you're on camera or not, but it said that you have no camera. It's that gray screen with the white. There you go. But yeah. But other than that, yeah, I think like Rosalind's trying to do the right thing. But I'm not sure.
No cuddling.
Johnny said, please don't, John.
Ow, ow, ow.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my camera working, which I don't understand why it is not.
Did you hit the thing for the camera?
No, I didn't hit the thing.
That
cord?
sounds like something I would do.
I never hit the thing. That's why I've only got one kid.
No,
Bring it off
the
and back
cord
on
for the
again.
camera. Because I know that the camera is very sensitive.
It's still greening at me.
So what?
It's still greening at me.
I don't know what that means.
Like it still has a green light.
Yeah, so you maybe have to come. Like, I think if you drop out and come back in, it should be fine. Because I've done that before by accident.
They'll try that.
Clarissa's having trouble too.
In the meantime, let's talk about the Cylons and what's going on there.
If you want to, John, you can go on Avatar, so it's not like the thing with the.
No, I'll drop out and drop back in. But let's talk about some Cylons.
The Cylons, they're. Let's see. You got them and the whole plan going on where Cavill comes back and he's like,
They're in civil war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those situations where you're just like, let's see what's going on here. Nope. Didn't work, John.
Jesus H fucking Christ.
But the Cylons, I think it's like, so we're getting Deanna back. She's being unboxed. They basically make a truce, and they're like, "Well, we can't operate with just 6 of us. We need to have our 7th back." And
she's gone again.
Oh, there you go. Now John's back.
All right, what? We can have one or the other?
I guess so.
Yeah, but do you think that Cavill means a fucking word that he
Now,
says?
can we hear John?
Yeah, I can hear him. Can you?
I can't. No.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's going to be one of those deals. I think that's why Clarissa dropped out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try this one more time.
No, you're good. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Let's try this one more time. Now Bobby's gone.
Yikes.
I think though the Cylons, like with what Cavill means, I feel like Cavill means business. Like he's not one of those ones that's gonna give up on what he says and what he does, because I feel like he's the overarching of all of the Cylons is the big bad, because he's been the gatekeeper of the quote unquote information. Like he's like, the Deannas are bad. We got to remember they were the reason we brought up all the Final Five talk and all of this stuff.
So you think he wants to kill the humans? Like,
yeah,
he literally
Who's
wants.
missing? There we go.
yeah.
I
I
was
feel
missing.
like, yeah, I feel like he's like the one of the ones that is just like so hard and strict on them not talking about it. It's like, why do we have to keep talking about this and all of that stuff? That he's gonna be the one, like, not saying that every single one of the Cylons is gonna be like on the side of the humans if and when there's a situation where they need to come together. He'll probably be like the last one or one of the last people to be like give up and be like, I give up with this. Like the rest of them, they can seem pliable, especially with what the Sixes have done with the Centurions, where they're like, well, if you don't listen to us, we can have you killed. So
I wouldn't
yeah.
say that makes somebody pliable. I think that makes somebody realize their amount of leverage.
Nah.
I want
You
to
know?
know why one Sharon split off.
Yeah, and is macking on Cavill. Ugh.
Boomer,
Yeah, who? I don't know.
not okay.
I can't
Boomer,
tell them apart.
Yeah.
not okay. Boomer. Anything that Boomer does, just like it's gonna be bad.
So Boomer is bad.
You didn't figure that out when she shot the old man?
Well, I thought she was programmed to.
Yeah, but she didn't feel bad about it afterwards. What are your thoughts on that, Clarissa?
She said her audio was cutting out.
Kenzie?
About what? Sorry, I was just had to do something quick.
Bobby said she didn't know that Boomer was bad, and I said you didn't figure that out after she shot
I don't
Adama.
figure anything out in this show.
And Bobby said, well, she was programmed to do that.
Well, I figure out I'm wrong all the time. That's all.
Yeah, there's probably something that was in her system that made her go do that. Like Boober's just always been like the fucking strange one. The fact that she's like
She's the
has
weak
this,
model.
yeah, and now that she has a romantic relationship with one version of a Cavill, it just makes me go, ugh.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah,
And that's not just an 8. That is specifically Boomer.
Okay,
Yeah.
Boomer is bad.
yeah.
Bad one is Boomer.
But I
But
thought
why
it's
is she
okay.
separate from the other ones?
Boomer's having like old man sex.
I don't want that picture in my mind. Thank you very much.
I know. Now it just brings back bad memories of Ellen.
I think that there's something to that though, that there's a reason why he wants to like. Oh, I have this really weird thought of like, what if Cavill's the one that was like, because they had the explode, like that there's a Cavill that wants to take Kara or something like that, because that's like a small version of 6 or not 6, 8. So it's like, oh, like, because there's like that whole thing of like, well, there's Hera is so important, but why is she important? She's gonna be important. Who's she more valuable to? The humans or the Cylons? Probably the Cylons. So it's like someone's gonna have to try and get Hera because there's a reason why she's so important. And what if it's Cavill? Ugh. Like they have to kidnap Hera? Oh god. Gross. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Clarissa.
I had to restart my works. I guess I mentioned, or I missed a mention of old man sex.
Yes.
Aw.
Shucky darn.
We were talking about the specific number 8 model called Boomer
Oh yeah, no.
and her
I
relationship with
threw up in my mouth a little when I saw it.
Cavill.
You
I was
should have
just
let
like-
it go, Clarissa.
What? I was just like, okay, she's loyal. But I was already like that last episode with the whole ballerina thing. I was just like, okay.
Because James Callis, like, he is not an offensive actor. I mean, especially for his age when he shot this, like, he's an attractive man. But just
Are
the
you-
thought of the person who his character is.
You mean Dean Stockwell?
Yeah, Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
I'm
James
not
Cavill
seeing
is
it.
Baltar.
Yeah.
Dean Stockwell. Sorry. Like,
I know,
like,
but
he's an attractive man for his age. You know,
I'm
whatever.
not seeing it.
Like, it's not throw up material. But when you think about his character, and you think, like, not okay, Boomer.
not okay, Boomer. No, I'm serious. I saw that and I was just like, oh, gross. My sister and I were watching it today. And I was like, oh, I don't even want to look. She's like, oh, it's been a long time since I watched the show. What happens? I'm like, just don't look. And then they kiss. And I looked and I was like, oh, and she's just laughing at me. I'm like, that's just, oh. Ooh.
Yeah,
Just
so
who he is, even. He's just a sleazoid.
Where the hell was Gaius? I need to know if he's God.
what do you
Pius Gaius is off
what
praying
do you
somewhere.
all think about all the stuff going on with Cylons right now?
Oh yeah, no, there's yeah. I'm not at all surprised. Like, I mean, of course, because they pretty much alluded to the fact that they're not gonna get away with it.
So you think
And
there
the
are
whole
good
time,
Cylons and bad Cylons?
oh, there's good people and bad people.
Oh, and they aren't all just evil just because they were created by humanity to be their slaves and finally rose up against them.
Well, I thought it was interesting the foreshadowing of Cavill being all like, good thing you remembered the magic word, because he's just like, you don't even know what you've done by giving them free will. But
I thought that was absolutely fracking brilliant. I love that scene. I have to put that in my top 10 scenes of the entire series.
but at the same time, I mean, by lobotomizing the Raiders, they were mutilating their own race.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's deplorable. But they're taking the subroutines out of the Centurions.
I don't care how pretty their eyes are. Simon's are deplorable. They might have really pretty eyes. Okay? They might have really fucking pretty eyes.
No,
But
they're like,
Simon's are deplorable.
oh.
I can't think of a redeeming quality that any Simon has.
No, he's the creepo. He's a hot creepo. And
Who's
somebody, the guy who was the
doctor
in the baby farm, and I'm
The
sure
ovary
he
thief?
was. Yeah, that one. What number is he? 5?
Yes. Cavils are 1. Dorals are 2. Xena Warrior Princess 3.
I just
Um,
started watching that again.
I have to watch it again. I love it. Lucy Lawless is the best.
Sorry, I'm a little tired. Leobins are 4s.
I kind of like Leoben. I
Simons
didn't, but
are
I think I
5.
do now.
Oh, Leoben will give you Stockholm Syndrome like nobody else.
Yeah, he's like he's all about the head.
6 is 6. There is no 7 that we know of yet. Sharon's are 8s. And then there's 9, 10, 11, 12.
We don't know 7s. That's the one that's missing.
We don't know 7, and we don't know 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, we don't know what the
No,
the
you know
4 we
9,
know.
10,
We
11,
don't know the
12. You
numbers.
just don't know.
We just don't know
13 or
in what
7.
order.
It might be 13 or 7. It could be either one.
Right.
Maybe
Well, we
7.
know 4.
What if 7 was boxed?
Just like Deanna was.
You know who I think the 7th Cylon is, or the last one? There's a reason. Too. And I've said it multiple times. I don't have to say it again unless you want me to.
Ellen.
Say it.
Ellen Ty is the last Cylon. And she either was... Because they did mention that there's an extra backup place that exists. That's where they sent all of the 3's information. So she either backed up before the what's that ship that was exploded, or she backed up where the Adana beers, all of that thing is.
But now we've gotten to a
gone.
point in the show.
And
all
also,
the resurrection ships are gone.
But yeah, but they mentioned that there's this one ship that they have that they're sending all of the Dana Beers information to.
Right, but
That's what
from
I'm
this
saying.
point on,
That was a story, though.
yeah, from this point on, do you all realize that any Cylon that dies from this point on is dead?
Yeah.
So there's no more resurrection ships at all.
No, they're all
Well,
gone.
it didn't jump with them to where they are.
Yeah, so
The
it's a
resurrection
different part of
ship is
space.
left behind.
And that's a huge thing because we come to the scene towards the end of this episode when Cylons attack other Cylons.
Yeah. But going back to that thing,
Which
like,
was brutal.
Yeah, but like going back to that for 1 second, it's just like that either she downloaded, if this is the idea, is like she either downloaded before all of that happens, or there's that central hub that I think that based on now this episode that she possibly could have went to because of that. Because I told this to John, I think last week or something like that when we were off, that the last Cylon has to be someone who was off of at least Galactica when they heard all of that music, because you think that all 5 of them would be hearing that music if they needed to. So the only, to me at least, the 2 plausible versions of the last Cylon is Starbucks, and she was off the ship when that happened, or Ellen Ty, that are named characters that were at least off the ship when that happened, because the rest of them, they were either on Galactica or near Galactica or something like that.
Well, they said the 5th one needed a little deeper, I don't know, manipulating to get them to come out. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what I got.
But I am curious about your thoughts on that.
I think though that we obviously need Cylon. Cylon on Cylon War.
Ellen or Starbuck.
Yeah, like if it has to be, like if Ellen Ty is dead and gone, like gone for good, then it's probably Starbuck, based off of the fact that there was no one on, like those two were like the only two that were not named characters that were not on the ship when all of that was going down. And yeah, but I don't think it is Starbuck. I think I'm sticking with the Ellen thing. But in terms of the Cylon on Cylon fighting, we haven't had that kind of that kind of thing in a while, where they're all fighting each other, minus like fist fights or based off of like the last episode. So
Right. So what do you think that means? That
there's one Cavill that has to be left, because there's no point in killing off Cavill, because that character is too intriguing.
absolutely. But do you think it's coming down to
Want to go out?
it's not Cylons versus humans? It's us versus them, no matter who the them are.
Yeah, until obviously they have interactions with Hera, and then they'll be like maybe changed.
Here's something to sort of chew on. I mean, like through this whole situation, it makes you wonder if Cavill has made himself his own little movement. I mean, he is posing as the religious leader among them, yet when they attack and Boomer is talking to Cavill about the attack, she's saying, all my sisters are dying. What about their souls? And he looks at her and he says, they don't have soul, or it's something about their God, and how they don't have souls. We don't have souls, dear. We're machines. Remember? And it's like he started his own sort of church of atheism.
Mm-hmm.
They're like nihilists, almost.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it seems like it's that
Like
way.
ride or die.
Yeah.
Not worrying about an afterlife anymore. So, and I mean, is this supposed to be, from a storyteller's point of view, is this supposed to be commentary on the corruption of organized religion, or is it just a story vehicle? But it definitely makes you think there's a whole line of people that he's sort of converted into his way of thinking.
Do you think of
And the
Cavill
ones
as an anti-religious person or as a corrupted clergy person?
Well, but that's, I mean, one could argue from a storytelling point of view that they're one and the same. That a disillusioned clergy person would use this opportunity for their own power because they don't actually think that there's going to be a consequence in the afterlife. So they carry little or no guilt, and it allows their power and greed to dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because Cavill just seems like he's like feels like he's the most important one, and he just wants to go always against what the other Cylons are wanting. Like, like last episode or the episode before, when they were talking about like, do they look like us? Do they sound like us? And all of the stuff. And he's like, he's freaking out at the fact that they were even thinking about it. Like, he does not want to associate the others. The other Cylons, let alone the humans, like to be in the same realm as them. So it's like there's going to be tension moving forward. Plus, you can't get rid of that actor too easily. I know it's season 4 and whatnot, but they're not going to get rid of that.
So you think Cavill has just this ego that he's like, I don't care if you're a Cylon or a human, or I don't care who or what you are. I am so much better than you.
Probably, yeah. because he seems like he's
I'm
one
not
of
arguing
the
with
extreme.
you. I'm just curious about your.
He seems like he has one of the like extremist mentalities, or elitist kind of thing, where he's just like he likes being basically the one in charge of the seven that are the seven that are known to themselves. He'll probably or he'll probably hate the fact that there's five people that are probably have a higher, I guess, rank than he does. When it comes to if those two groups ever meet of Cylons, and then he'll obviously hate the humans as much or slightly more than he hates the final five, because I feel like there has to be something involving Hera coming soon, because we haven't seen Hera in a while, so there has to be something with that and why Hera is so important, and he's probably going to either want to take Hera for himself, again making it very creepy because he likes Hera's mom model or whatever, like the model that her mom comes from and such, for his own dreams and aspirations for something else. Like, it's not going to be like he's just a creepy old man who's doing scary things.
Creeper.
And I feel like, yeah, just hit the end of that part of the episode is just like, it's just meant to delay, I guess, that crazy stuff that's coming.
Speaking of the final five, what did you guys think of this little meet and greet that Tori and Anderson, or I'm sorry, Tori, Ty, and Tyrell had? Yeah, Anderson's too busy trying to get Starbucks to not be crazy.
I think that it was bound to happen. There was bound to be someone who was going to listen into their conversations. It just kind of happened that obviously through the flow of events of the episode, that it was going to be Callie. She's got the most screen time in this episode in a long time, and it was her death episode, which was kind of shocking, but not so shocking at the same time. It was interesting how Ty was like, like your Cylon hating wife and stuff, and she was like listening into this conversation, and that even sent her more over the edge than the fact that Tyrell wasn't being like the appropriate husband or the father that he was supposed to be of Nicholas, and then finding out that he's actually a Cylon and seeing him with Tori, and like that just, yeah, that would go make anybody crazy. Like the fact that the person that you are supposedly in love with isn't like even the person that you knew from the beginning. Like, it's like catfish on the like extreme level almost. But Doc Coddle, he tries in this episode. He's like, maybe you should bring him in, and she's like that's gonna work.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard it or not. What
Yeah.
what were they talking about? Kaylee and her. I don't know. Was she attacked?
Well, she was beaten up by Tyrell like in season 1 or 2.
I think they were talking about. I don't know why I thought she was attacked, like raped, and ended up pregnant. Where did I get that from?
She almost ended up raped, but she bit the fucker's ear off because Callie's a badass bitch.
Oh, she is a badass bitch. When did that happen? I don't know what I missed.
That was in Bastille Day.
Like,
well, who attacked her?
Some guy in a prison. And she
yeah, because she went to prison. Remember? Because she shot Boone.
Fucking ear off with her teeth. Because Callie is a badass bitch.
And because
she's also a dead bitch now, so.
Because she's frozen.
Frozen in space.
She's frozen, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought maybe the baby was somebody else's, not Tyrell's.
It's not, I don't think, anyway. Go ahead, Claire.
You don't think the baby's
She did just
Tyrell?
have that big thing with Tyrell recently where they had to get blown out of the launch bay there
Mhm.
in order to get out of
Was
get
that
out of there.
foreshadowing? Dun, 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 I think so.
Hmm?
Like the fact that she had to go in the what's it called? That chamber thing, and then he's just standing outside
Tyrell?
holding and then he's just standing on the opposite side holding Nikki. That was like when I remember that, I was like, that's like just so foreshadowing of what happens. And then keep going.
Bobby,
But,
you don't
no,
think
I
that
was just
Nikki
gonna
is
say,
Tyrell's
that's why-
baby?
John, Clarissa was saying something.
I'm sorry, Clarissa.
Go ahead.
It just shocked
but
me
that
that,
I
that
mean,
Bobby
and
said that.
but that
What?
That you don't think that Nikki's
John,
Tyrell's
you're
That-
interrupting Clarissa. She's trying to say, as soon as she starts saying something, you start saying something at the exact
Sorry,
same.
That's my fault. That's
I'll
my
shut
fault.
up. I'll not say anything.
Go, Clarissa.
If I speak no more,
so
let it be your will.
Go ahead.
so there's the beginning of the scenes with Callie, and I was trying to think why she would be on drugs, and then I was like, of course, she had this accident not too long ago with Tyrell. You know that Tyrell is. She knows that Tyrell's the boss and everything, but with their problems that they've already had at home, and then they go through this traumatic situation together, which he, like you said, was standing over her in the, chamber holding the baby. She's got a longer heal time, so she still has drugs for this, and everything that she's thinking and doing is affected by these drugs that she's taking. But on that note, Callie's really been pissing me off in the last season or so.
Yeah, she's not acting good.
Yeah, how'd you like that Spanish
Yeah.
smack?
What's that?
The wrench hitting
The Spanish smack.
Oh, okay. No, my audio's cutting out again, but I'm just gonna brave it through. So,
I mean,
yeah, no, the spanner thing before she took off with the baby.
mhm.
Well, I mean,
Like,
she'd already.
He
found
didn't
out.
do anything. He was just like, hey.
Well, she overheard him find out.
She just found out that her husband's the enemy.
Well, she thought he was the enemy anyway.
She found out he was a Cylon. She
That's
also
the
found
enemy.
out he wasn't cheating on her. Which would be more important to you?
I think she just wanted him to be bad in some way. She got what she wanted.
I think finding out that your husband is like if you, because like Ty says, your Cylon hating wife finds out that you're a Cylon, there's big problems. So I feel like finding out that Tyrell is a Cylon trumps the fact that she was getting cheated on, even though there was no actual cheating happening besides sitting together and having a drink with her being flirty. Like,
to me, it would matter a lot more if somebody were loyal to me than if what race or species or mechanical engineering somebody was. Like it would much more matter that somebody were.
but he wasn't cheating. That's the thing.
No,
These guys are
that's my point.
Cylon haters.
That's why Cylon. That's why Callie's just a fucking racist.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So for her, probably the fact that he's a Cylon trumps the fact that he was cheating. So especially after later on when she finds out that Tori is also a Cylon. So that just, yeah.
She's an evil bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad at her. And I'm not even a big fan of Callie's.
Yeah.
But that was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Knocking her down, taking her baby.
Yeah.
Just like, woof.
And she put that Cylon power behind it too.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
big
It's a
punch.
pretty good way to take shit out, though.
Huh?
Like whether you like it or not, you got to admit it was smart. Like she was
Yeah.
just
She
like,
did?
boom, boom.
Yeah, push her out.
Well,
See
she was
the
gonna go
power?
anyway.
Well, first it's to push her down to like knock her semi-unconscious, and then like leave the airlock, and then turn the
Well,
key.
yeah,
and
she
then
has to not give her a chance to take the baby back.
Yeah,
Because that's a Cylon baby. Well, half Cylon.
I don't think so. I really like they like I'm struggling with that because like we'll probably come. It'll come later in this, but I still don't think that that's what happened because we have to remember that Callie actually proposed to Tyrell. So most women don't usually propose to their male partners most of the time. Not saying all
True.
of them. So I
Seems
don't
like
feel like
Callie
Callie.
Beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, especially
Callie
after
was
like
like going out
That was
before
really
that.
weird.
it's like what Bobby said, especially when you beat them like almost to
Yeah,
like
he beats the crap
unconsciousness.
out of her. Next thing you know, they show she's pregnant and
So
Yeah.
you
married.
think Callie was going out before that, and she was just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
hey, I gotta find a baby daddy."
Well, yeah, and
Maybe, but
yeah,
but it would prove that the men can have babies too.
I still that's suspicious because there's probably gonna be like a thing where Nikki's gonna have to be like checked out, like especially after like they find out that Callie has died or whatever. But there's gonna be like a thing of like to test to make sure he's not stressed or whatever, and though that will probably be like the definitive thing about that or something because there has to be something that's gonna have to test him to make sure that he's okay, especially because how old is he, like a year and a half or whatever, so they'll have to take care of him, especially if Tyrell's not gonna be
That baby cries a lot.
yeah. I think there's gonna be something with
I-
Nick.
The thing is, I have to say, I thought it was kind of badass how Tori let her Cylon strength fly when she hit Callie.
That's what I
Callie.
was saying.
Woo!
She didn't hold back, but she let her
Boom!
Cylon shit out.
Oh yeah,
It also makes me
there
think
was some air.
that also makes me think too that there has to be something in the fact that there's a extra reason as to why she wants Callie out of the way, like where was like in the
Because
past
Tara
life,
loves her, probably.
and also because in the past life that there was something between actually like the life that they don't remember or they're not privy to yet, that there was something maybe between those two, like Tyrell and Tori, and that's probably why she's like, get the bitch out of here, kind of thing, and like keep a family unit with Nikki or whatever, even though if Nikki is or is in the Cylon. But again, I don't think he is
Who's
because
Nikki?
Nicholas, the baby.
Oh.
Why
don't I know their names yet?
It's okay. They barely talk about
So-
him anyway.
But I don't know any of the characters.
Go ahead, Clarissa.
So
Excuse me.
throughout this whole thing, like this whole episode really got me intrigued as to the final Cylon. I know you were earlier talking about it being Ellen Ty. I just keep going back to that scene where Deanna is like, "Oh, it's you. I'm sorry, I didn't realize," or whatever it was she said. It's something along those lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be somebody that not just that we're familiar with, somebody they're familiar with. So I could see how Ellen Ty would fit in with that.
Because like
I was wondering about it being Callie, but there's no reason that she would know Callie.
Mhm.
So
because how I kind of also explained it in my head to myself is that the young models, like everybody else, minus like Cavill and probably like Zoro and whatever, that they would need somebody there to help them through the resurrections, like kind of like how they do that for the others, almost. So that's why I view like that as like Deanna, why she probably recognizes her like that, or to have her like a mom figure almost, that there's like that there has to be some version of like parental Cylons out there, and she's probably like the mom of them all, like kind of thing.
Alan?
Yeah, like in terms of like carrying them through like the resurrections and stuff like that, because it has to be someone that she would know. And who knows, maybe the Sixes and the Deannas are modeled after Ellen Ty. You never know, because they both are like the sexual side is like Six with like Ellen stuff, and then like the mechanical thinking, always thinking, is like very much a Deanna almost kind of perspective. That's how I kind of think about it that way. And they're both blondes, or most of them are usually blondes, but minus like the different hair colors that some of them will have. Like the Six that we're mostly dealing with it in this episode is like darker blonde hair. So that's how I kind of look at it. If it is Ellen Ty almost. But I could be wrong.
Everything I say is wrong.
Yeah.
There's still too much I don't know.
Doesn't that make
Everybody
sense.
who was
Sense.
glad to see Callie go in this episode. Everybody who did a little woohoo at the end of the episode.
Finally.
Well, she's a little nerve-wracking.
Why do you all hate Callie? I've never hated her.
It's too much.
Just done with her.
She's been annoying from the get-go. First, she followed Terrell around like a little puppy dog. And then she started, all of a sudden, she becomes this like huge bitch. And then she just a screamy, whiny thing at the end. What? How could you not?
I know.
Right?
Yeah. I know young babies aren't supposed to lose their moms, but I mean, like, Nikki's better off without Callie, like, screaming all the time and, like, crying and all of that stuff. Like,
She definitely had some issues.
and didn't also they say that, like, didn't she say at least that, like, they would need another, like, if both of them were to die, that he'd go and live as a civilian? So it could be that, the only person, there's, like, the one, if Tyrell is not Nikki's father, that the one person that is actually...
Why do you think that Tyrell is not Nikki's father?
Because they would make it more like a thing if he is important. And plus, it doesn't...
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just wondering why.
Well, because I think the timeline is still iffy on their whole relationship to make it that they are together. And plus, the conversations that she's had with Doc Cottle in this episode made me also a little bit more suspect of, like, oh, you're taking this type of medicine, blah, 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 blah. Like, you always not know how to say the right thing. So it could be, like, a thing of, like, she maybe went to him and was like, don't say anything, blah, blah, blah. Or you don't say anything, or he doesn't say anything, that kind of thing. Like, I don't think... Yeah, the timeline with them is always sketchy. And I just feel like it would be interesting if Nikki wasn't, because because recently they've been putting a lot of pressure on that kid character and not so much on Hera anymore. So it's like building it up to it not actually being anything, because I'm throwing out the red herring of that almost, because it just is like you're pushing it almost too much that this kid is to be.
Is there any more Cylon babies?
As far as we know, not yet.
Just the two?
If there's still only two baby characters as of right now, minus the civilians. But
so
in
if
my
that's
dreams, I had
Carol's,
a number of babies with 6, but that was only in my dreams.
Thanks, John. I didn't want that
I mean, I
memory.
suppose there could be like Anders' babies somewhere.
Man, we just
He
don't
was
know
a
about
professional sports figure before.
Yeah, they're all bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But like as far as we know, like right now, like in the current storyline, there's not really any named characters as of right now that have had children necessarily.
No.
But
There's
I think
just Nikki and Hera. And that's it that we know
yeah,
of.
I still don't think Nikki is that important. Because they're putting it's a red herring. There's too much pressure on that kid to be Cylon. It's like, nope.
That must be why he's crying all the time.
Yeah. Away from me. He like has the Cylon defense mechanism that Callie has. It's like, get you away from me. But but rest in peace,
So you
Callie.
think Nikki is a red
Maybe
herring?
Callie's a Cylon.
Maybe
You
she
think
is. Maybe
Nikki
she
is
is.
a red herring?
Well, the Nikki is a Cylon is a red herring because they're putting so much pressure on.
Define red herring.
It's basically showing, like, basically telling you, and then it's like not actually a thing. So it's like they're saying, oh, like if Tyrell is like a Cylon, blah blah blah, like what we keep talking about, because Tyrell is a Cylon, that must mean that Nikki is half Cylon. When there's gonna be a situation where, at least in my mind, that he's not actually a Cylon. It's like to throw you off. It's basically one of those things, like to throw you off what is actually the truth, kind of.
One, here's another question. Tyrell, Tori, Ty, and Anders, we all know are Cylons.
Yep.
What's
But
Anders'
they
first name?
still behave in the way that they're expected to behave.
No.
Do you think there's going to be a switch that makes them not do that?
Well, I think that switch already has turned on for Tori, excuse me. In the fact that she just like did not give two shits. She like took Nikki and was like, "All right, crank," and then like send her off the airlock. But then
Do you
she's
think
like,
that says more about Cylon nature or Tori nature?
What is Anders' name?
Samuel Anders, Samuel T.
Samuel.
Anders. Know that?
T. All those guys were T's, except for him.
Or Ellen Ty, if it's Ellen. Imagine they're all T names. That'd be funny.
What about
That's
you, Clarissa? You've
John
been
pointed
quiet.
it out. Must be a reason.
Clarissa?
Clarissa.
Mackenzie?
Yeah, go ahead. You can. John was saying like about something about the last bit of like the if what Tori did was Tori nature, or if that was Cylon nature.
That was evil.
Oh, like as far as like embracing her Cylon identity now?
Was Tori killing Callie her Cylon nature, or was that Tori's nature? And that question being asked, are Cylons innately evil, or are they just trying to survive?
Well, okay. For one thing, she found the hatch, right? Like I do think that there's something about, since discovering that they are Cylons, that she is,
Sorry.
seeing all other possibilities in life.
I apologize.
But I think that her primary motivation with the whole Callie thing, she found the hatch. So, and we don't know if she was there, if she had followed her, or had her suspicions about Callie, followed and knew that she had knocked out Tyrell before she ran off with the baby. But her objectives were save that baby. that baby is one of our people as well as one of theirs, even though I'm not sure what I am. And 2, she knows about us. And if anybody else, if she has the chance to tell anybody, we're all dead. So, I mean, she was in a position where she did what she had to do. But at the same time, I think that she was just like, I'm a Cylon, so what? Okay, that's something I'm coming to terms with right now. And Callie couldn't be trusted to keep her mouth shut about it. So she had to.
Well,
I'm glad she got the baby first.
Yeah, because there was the note that was left by Ty that was like, meet us here at such and such place at this time, or whatever, meet at the MTA, whatever. And Callie read that and kept it. So that's because Tyrell goes, oh, I didn't know you meant to meet us here, or whatever. Like, there was like a specific thing. So, and they heard like clinks in the walls, I guess you could say ceiling. And then the thing to get through to there was left open. So I think that was process of elimination almost, of like, well, there's this thing that's open, and then all of this is happening. Callie made a scene beforehand in the bar where she like threw up when she saw the two of them together. So it's maybe like systematic of that happening as well. That maybe led her to that fact. But yeah, I think that it's that whole thing of, yeah, she's gonna talk if I don't kill her right now. And baby Nicholas is too young to even understand what's actually still going on. So yeah, there's a reason why that happened. And plus, save the baby if she wants to make that family unit style type of life with Tyrell, even though I highly doubt that's gonna be that way for a while.
Yeah, if I were Tyrell, I don't think I'd be lashing on to Tori anytime soon.
No. But they might have in a past life. You never know. That could have
I'd
been
be like, hey, you're pretty fracked.
All I'm saying is like they're putting a lot of emphasis on that, so maybe he thinks it's like a past life thing that they, or like a life that they don't remember. Maybe they were. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see if we get a funeral service for Callie next week. And what maybe style, because she's not of the military. If they will give her one,
Shit, I mean, she's a non-con.
Yeah, so they would give her more of a civilian type of funeral, which we haven't really seen before on the show. So will they skip over it, or
Something
will they show it to us?
me.
Will be an interesting thing for next week. That's what yeah, there's not much else.
There's throwing stuff around.
Do we have any terribly uncomfortable conversations to cover outside of this?
I don't think so. I think we covered most of it.
Probably the only thing that I was thinking about was the Callie coddle moment in sickbay, which was probably, interestingly, one of my favorite scenes in the episode.
No, it was a great scene. I love that fucking scene. I love that scene because it's how I would talk to my doctor. Like, I'd be like, I don't want bedside manner bullshit. Just tell me what's up.
I liked how Caudle was so consistent with his. Well, since you're such a fan of tough love, did you stop to consider that maybe you might be imagining things? Like, he was just like, okay, well, we want to go this way. All right, let's go this way. I'm just saying.
No,
I thought that was very good.
I thought it was
very good writing.
Brilliant. Because if you know anybody who, and this is getting to some pretty deep shit for this channel, but like it should be spoken about. If you've ever known anybody who's been abused, there are people who like just take it as part of life. Like they don't even think of it as abnormal. And
You mean like people who are consistently in conflict?
I'm talking about people who are consistently abused, and they just hit the
Oh,
point where they
okay.
think of it as normal. And I think there's some validity to the point that Callie's like, no, this was a one-time thing that happened, but that's not what goes on every day. That's
Oh, I see. When she was talking about how sometimes I wish he would lay
yeah,
hands on me.
yeah.
That moment.
It you know, because you have people who have PTSD and they really cannot control their actions. I'm not trying to make
Yeah.
an excuse for anybody or anything like that, but there are people who have PTSD and they cannot control their actions. And you know, I think that definitively, I don't even think there's a question. That's where Tyrell is. Like he has some ridiculous PTSD. 67 of his people died under him. Because of 41 seconds.
That was traumatic.
Yeah.
Like he has to think about that. He has to think about all these things all the time. Like Tyrell has PTSD. I don't care about the fact that he's a Cylon or whether he's a human. It's one of the things he has to think about.
Well, and we know that Cylons can have psychological trauma.
Oh, fuck yeah, they do. I mean, shit, we're into
Correct.
season 4 right now. Okay, Cylons are people. They're fucking people. They may be programmed
Sorry.
People.
to do certain shit, but if you have not figured this out yet, then I'm sorry. They're fucking people.
Just the way you said it was like Soylent Green is people. Cylons are people.
That movie.
So
Like, and that's
Hear that, Ma?
those
Clarissa's
are the
talking
things
about
you-
Soylent Green.
you really think about, though.
Love that movie.
I like
She
Soylent
said I
Green.
love that movie.
so
I like anything
I know,
with
it's so
Charlton
good.
Heston.
Oh, you're cutting out on me, John.
I'm cutting out.
I can't hear you.
I can.
I can hear you here and there, a bit here and there.
Can you hear me now?
That's still funny.
It was like snaps and pops with little parts of what you were saying to me. So
All right, can you hear me now?
you can just sign it to me.
Yeah, John, we can hear you. It's just her
Fingerspell.
audio is just off.
Can you hear
What's that
me?
Western Canadian audio?
Yes.
Well, if you would quit fighting grizzly bears and, you know, Watch a show or two. Things might work out a little differently. But you have to fight grizzly bears.
He's making fun of your internet, Clarissa.
Did I hear work out a little bit? Be a grizzly bear.
Yeah, he's saying basically stop fighting with the grizzly bears, and your internet might work a lot better, or something like that.
Now you're cutting out on me. Oh, I love you guys, but this is making me crazy. I
we
can't do what
almost
you're
done?
saying to me most.
Are we almost done?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all you guys now. I don't know, man.
Anyway, I think we're done, pretty much.
Any final thoughts?
Clarissa, go.
Just text me. They need a closed captioning option for StreamYard.
I know, right? Read the side.
But so I think that was all the storylines in the show, though, wasn't
Good
it?
idea, Mackenzie.
I didn't miss much when I came.
No. So, who's your Cylon and what's your final thoughts and rating, Clarissa?
My final thoughts and my ratings. I actually really like this episode. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 drug-induced misunderstandings. And my final thoughts was, yay Tori for keeping the baby. Yay Lee for calling out Rosalind on her stuff. You know, on all that fracking stuff. And like the executive order. I'm looking forward to finding out our final Cylon. I'm wondering if it's going to be, if the reveal of the final Cylon is going to be somehow tied to this internal war of the Cylons, and if this final Cylon has some kind of special power or influence.
Great.
Special
Or if they're connected to the hybrids in some way.
What's your rating on this
Yeah.
episode?
What if they're connected
That's
to
what I'm wondering.
everything? Da, 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 da.
I'd say what's your rate on this episode?
My rating?
Yeah.
9 out of 10
I was gonna say she already gave that.
drug-induced misunderstandings.
Nice.
Makes sense.
Nice. That's how
And my
we
final Cylon guess, I'm gonna say Starbuck.
Bobby?
I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 evil twisted Tories. And I'm gonna go ahead and say Adama again because I don't really have a clue. And he might as well take the blame. He's the admiral.
He has to take the blame.
Yep.
For me, I think that we're gonna get the fifth Cylon near the middle of this season, like or just after the final five, and Cavill's gonna be like the holdout in terms of like not wanting to agree to the Cylons wanting to be with the humans. Like he's gonna be like, no, like he's gonna fight it tooth and nail for like them to be one, I guess, cohesive unit as like
we've tried to kill them.
man. Yeah, so he's gonna be the last holdout. Like the rest of them will agree, but he's gonna
I
be.
think they're gonna be like, "Hey, fuck you, dude."
Yeah. And I want to say my final Cylon, is Ellen Ty, because that bitch is coming back. And I think that this episode gets like one of my favorite of the season so far. So it's like a 7 Tori and Tyrell past lives kind of thing, because I feel like there's also a supplemental reason as to why she also got rid of Callie. Because she's be a tattletale, but also too that there's something in their backstory together that draws the two of them together for some reason other than the fact of, well, the two of us can easily communicate over them all with Ty. Like, I think there's more to that story than we know yet, but someone's gonna figure that out. Because someone's got to be a hybrid. Galactica needs a hybrid. If they're gonna fight against the Cylons, they need their own hybrid. But other than that,
I have
it
a
was
question.
minus Callie died, but thank God she died at the same time.
I have a question for John.
Yeah.
The final Cylon is in the main cast, right? Right now.
We've seen them before, is what John said.
You have seen the final Cylon before?
Am I
You are
seeing it
familiar
every
with
time though?
him or her?
Is it part of the main cast? Come on.
She
Come
has
on.
been part of the main cast.
She?
She with a hyphen in there. As she, he.
That's not funny.
No, but it's honest.
Well, maybe I don't like honest because
But
it doesn't help.
But his first reaction was she, Bobby, so use that. I'd use it.
I don't know. I give up on this show.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I'm getting my
You don't
answers.
give
way
up
too
on the
strong.
show because it's so fucking good.
Well, it'd be good if I could binge it.
Yeah, but it's not allowed. Anyway, wrap up. So,
Everyone, if you don't mind, keep my stepdad in your prayers tonight. He came home from the hospital, but it's way too early for him to.
Aw.
Mhm.
Not feeling good, or what's he got? What's something wrong?
Severe dementia. Step 3, type 2 diabetes. Like, and they want to send him home. It's
They always send you home and they shouldn't.
ridiculous.
yeah,
But yeah, keep him in your prayers or whatever. Clarissa, are you frozen up or are you still there?
Well, she's kind of freezing a little bit, but she's back now. Anyway, we're at the end of the episode, so you know where to find us all. We're online, usually.
Yes.
And if you're not subscribed, like, comment, come back with us next week for episode 4, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's called something. And